What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Much Ado About Dying. It's a new documentary. I got this as a screener, and it's currently aiming for release in December, so check it out. It does not have audio description that I was offered, but that's somewhat common with indies that lack one of those super major distributors, unless they've gone to festivals that require accessibility. I kind of talked about that in Emilio Perez when sort of trying to advance my review of Emilio Perez. The best way to advance audio description is to pressure festivals and awards bodies to require universal accessibility, much the same way they did when Marlee Matlin was on the jury at Sundance. It's like, if you want to be voted for, you must be accessible to all voters. Because I believe there must be, I'm positive there are blind members in SAG. So that would immediately solve that problem for anybody trying to submit for a SAG voter. But I believe there are probably blind voters in other branches as well, if they were to ask their base how many of you are visually impaired and would benefit from accessibility in your screeners, which would then create the accessibility. Then studios would be like, well, we created it, might as well use it. So anyway, for this documentary, I was interested in it from the perspective of a lot of things. First of all, it's a documentary from a filmmaker who is taking care of their uncle, who is an actor. So it's one of those things where you're like, okay, so you're taking advantage of putting a camera on your experience. You're like, I'm a caretaker. Watch me caretake for this pathetic man. But it's not that, because this dude's an actor. So I think he fully loved the idea of what was going on. Like, even though he's like, all we have are like camera edits for him to speak on his uncle and like his word of mouth, I kind of get the vibe. It's like, you know, an actor at the end of his day. I think if you're an actor and you're kind of tapping out on life, and you're not, you know, somebody who's nationally renowned for your work. This isn't like Ian McKellen, who's like, no, do not show me in my final days. I have plenty of work people can see me in. You know, I do not need this documentary. But for any other actor, it's like, this is the last great performance, and he has all of these sort of like Shakespearean moments, which makes the Much Ado About Dying title sort of poignant. And I think about my own journey, and obviously as a blind person, I require some level of help and assistance. I don't want to say caregiving, because I have a job. I can work. I can cook and clean. But and this is why one of the things is like, I would put audio description on this, because I think a lot of people in general in the disabled community would benefit from this, even if they're not like at a full caregiver stage. A lot of us need help with things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a whole app called Be My Eyes, which now is AI powered, but we were just calling random people to be like, can you help me microwave my food? I've tried to scan the back of this, but it's not reading the directions to me. Can you possibly read the directions? I mean, we do occasionally need sighted people for things, and there are things that I use people I trust in my life for, who I guess you could, you know, loosely define caregiver for things that I don't want like random people on Be My Eyes to help me with. You know, like, hello, I've never met you before. Will you help me with this sensitive topic? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can make it through most of my day, but every once in a while. And then there are the times when you just lose something. You're like, fuck, I know I lost it. Can I have eyes, please? You know, like, you're looking for something for, like, I've dropped little things before, and I'm like, good God. Good God, where did this go? You hear it, and you hear it bounce. You're like, oh God, did it bounce left, right, front, center, back? Is it inside me? So yeah, I'm not gonna say that I I don't understand the perspective, but I also understand the other perspective of it because I moved with my mom as a young kid and took care of my grandfather who was in a nursing home. He had to be he needed like full round amount of care sort of attention. So we were constantly going down to the nursing home to make sure he was okay, mainly because he lived in a small town with only one nursing home, and the nursing home was sort of constantly failing inspections, but it also couldn't be closed because it was the only one serving the town, and those people would have nowhere to go. So they just kept like fighting them. This is a great time. Uh, Elder law, really, you look into it. There should be like 27 documentaries about elder law and nursing home abuse. But um, back to this. So yeah, I understand from like all perspectives. So put audio description on this because you don't know how broad your audience is. As a matter of fact, I see this guy, he's doing interviews, but he's doing interviews not so much with filmmakers, but with a lot of people who do like caregiver YouTube channels, aging help type YouTube channels, how to navigate Social Security, stuff like that. So this is fascinating to those people as well. And I think this will resonate with those people from what I could tell. It's obviously it's one person's story, and everybody's story is different because everybody requires a different level of care. Everybody sort of has like a different reason for needing help. Everybody sort of has a different system when you come into somebody's life. I don't want to like spoil any of the things that this guy specifically does in his own apartment flat. I guess it's a flat because we're British in this. That are sort of the ways that he gets through the day, but at the same time, I mean, that's where audio description comes in, because it's like there are things that Simon says as the documentarian slash caregiver where I'm like, oh my God, that's disgusting. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know the context of anything because the visual element doesn't come through to me as a blind film critic. So, yeah, we exist, blind film critics. It's a thing. So, it wasn't the easiest to watch, but I think there's something here. Like there's a there. So I don't want to just be like, kill it with fire, kill this movie. I hate this movie. This movie should have had audio description. It's unthinkable. It's a crime. No, big studio movies should have audio description because major studios have the money to pay for it. I don't know if this dude, I don't know what his budget is. I don't know what it looks like, but so the most optimistic way that I can say about this is I would like it to have audio description, and I'm very much a describe everything person, so of course I'm going to bring it up. But the worth of the documentary is, I think, for people who are caregivers or whatever, I think they're going to relate to something here, or people who might be caregivers who are maybe looking at an age where they're like, I might have to take care of somebody soon. But then again, it could also be a cautionary tale. Maybe this turns people off from doing it. Maybe people are like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to put you in a home, I don't know. For some people, they may be like, I don't want to walk around and empty out jars of piss. I don't want to do that. You're going in a home. And that's real. And there will be people who do that. So kudos to Simon for not immediately doing that and not just walking to a house and being like, I'm not doing this. Because I think people would. And like, I have an uncle. We're not on terms like that. Like, if it came down to me and my uncle, I'd be like, I'm not doing that for you. We're not. I'm sorry. Other people in my life, yes, not my uncle. So, just the direct representation, no, I would not. If he starts peeing in jars, you get onto your own jars. I'm not doing that for you. But so it's just an interesting sort of personal journey that happens to Simon. It's sort of what happens when it's a perfect marriage of two things that are realities. One is the focus of the documentary is an actor. So of course he's comfortable with camera on him. And the person doing the caregiving is a filmmaker. So of course he's comfortable. So the marriage of those two makes for documentary like this. For many other people, it wouldn't quite work as well because it would be somebody who's trying to maybe make their first film. And then it feels sort of like self-serving, like, why are you filming yourself? But this guy's already made stuff before. So he's just like, well, this is what I do. You know, he was in the middle of this documentary. He talks about he being in India. He's in the middle of a documentary. I've also seen him do interviews where he sort of gives a little bit more color into what that documentary was going to be about traffic in Delhi and how it's sort of related to like the caste system and the hierarchy and stuff like that. But he didn't get really to finish that. He had just kind of started on it, and he had friends that were checking on. I'm sure his friends were probably like, listen, there are number ones and number twos in things that there don't need to be in. You need to come back because we're just friends. And he wants us to empty them. Your family, like, please come back. So, it's certainly an interesting study in this unique experience where you get somebody who's a filmmaker and somebody who's an actor. And I was reminded a little bit of Senior, Robert Downey Jr.'s documentary about his dad, where he gets to sort of make this film that's also like a tribute of his dad, sort of in his final years and this relationship and what it's like sort of before they say goodbye. Or SR, if you don't know that, if you don't know what it stands for, look for SR on Netflix. um, but you know, it's one of those things where it's lightning in a bottle. Like, this doesn't really work for everybody. If some random person just started filming their random family member, I don't know that it wouldn't come across as, you know, look at the mountain I have to climb. But why do you have to climb it? You know, like, why is it? And then the much ado about dying wouldn't necessarily ring true because then you're not covering an actor, you're just covering someone. So then, you know, I mean, there always has to be like a sort of focal point to a documentary. Like, what is it? Like, why are we here? And I think that's what's interesting about this is not only is it a caregiver documentary, but it's also a filmmaker caregiving for an actor. And thus, of course, a film was born. So, there are a lot of strong documentaries this year. This is one where it's like, I wonder if they can get it in front of the documentary branch, if it can make the short list. And then from there, I wonder what would happen. I wonder if it's too small. But then again, the documentary branch frequently nominates documentaries nobody's ever heard of. This could be that for them. I don't think the general audience, if this landed on the short list, I don't know that many people would have heard of this as of that point. It doesn't seem to be, it's certainly not Superman, you know, the Christopher Reeve story or something of that ilk, but it's something that I could see it because I think it's in its own unique, I don't think it's competing against anything else in this specific thing. I would say, I don't know if Amazon is campaigning Love and Life, that documentary, but other than that, I don't think there are really any other sort of caregiver centric. Super Slash Man is not really about caregiving. It's really sort of about Christopher Reeve, so you can't really compare that. It may just have its own little unique bubble that it could live in. But as somebody who sometimes needs help, and as somebody who grew up as a kid watching my mom have to do a very similar thing, I think, and spending a lot of time in a nursing home as a kid, I think, yeah, there's something here, and there's something that we need to be talking about, and a conversation that we don't quite have about preparing people and keeping people financially sound, and really just sort of like the dignity of dying and being able to do it for as long as you can. It's like, you have a house, why can't you just live there? You know what I'm saying? Like, society is always just like running people down, and it's so hard. I mean, this is the UK version of it, but like even in America, it's like you have a place. Let's assume that you have a home, right? Well, you still have to have homeowners insurance. So you have to be making enough money from something, from pension or Social Security or something like that, to have homeowners insurance on your house. And then you have to pay your property taxes, and you have to pay. And I know some of that stuff goes down for seniors, but it still is like, it's bills that are coming in, things that they have to continue to pay for. Somebody has to get them food, you know? And it's like, do we have a system that's set up for that? Do we have a system that can help support that? No, and that's why we have people who call themselves caregivers. But then those caregivers, it's like, well, what do they do in their life other than be caregivers? So, because for some people, that's really all they can do. And if you're a family member, then you're more invested in trying to keep your family member outside of the nursing home system, if at all possible. Sometimes it's unavoidable because of the amount of care that you need and the unrealistic sort of expectation of costs of having 24/7 home care. We're not all, Bezos. So, but then again, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, it's a system. It's like, we could set it up that way. I don't trust our country to be able to do that. I think a lot of people would like that. I think if that was offered to them as an option, we're so angry about other things that have no real bearing or anything on life, like transgenderness in this country. But why don't you talk about, hey, what's going to happen when I get old? Am I going to be good? Am I going to be fine? Or am I going to be one of those people in a nursing home somewhere and nobody's ever going to come visit me? And the nurses will probably forget to turn me, and I'll develop bed sores and die. Like, what do you want for your life? Are you going to be sitting there in bed going like, well, at least the transgenders aren't using the bathroom. I have a bed sore the size of my fist on my ass because I haven't been moved in 3 weeks. But at least I know they can't use the bathroom. Like, pick your fight, man. Anyway, yeah, put some audio description on this. Right now, it's anytime I grade something that doesn't have audio description, it's always like a guess. I really don't do it for studio films. Like my grade for Amelia Perez was unwatchable because I literally couldn't watch it, and Netflix knows better. So that had money behind it, and they could have put audio description on it. This is, I don't know, this is the distributor, and I'm not going to disparage Simon directly for not knowing the accessibility for somebody he doesn't need. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he was taking care of a blind person and then knew all about blind accessibility and then didn't put audio description on this. So, yeah, that would be great if I could have audio description and if it was accessible to my community. So I'm going to give it like a soft B+. Thought it was pretty good. I think it has a shot. We'll see. It's a strong year for docs. I keep saying that. I'm like, when the world is on fire, documentarians are able to take full advantage of it. If you look at the winners from the past 2 years, there's a theme. We have 20 Days of Mariupol and Navalny. And now we have not only just a war in Ukraine, but we also have the war in Gaza. So if you don't think that the documentary that wins this year is going to be Ukrainian or related to the war in Israel, Palestine, like, I think you're crazy. I think it's going to be one of those two things. I don't know which one, but certainly one of those two things is going to win because that is sort of the undeniable, again, when the world's on fire, that's what we focus on. And while this is an important doc, I think making the short list would just get enough eyes on it and attention, because then people would seek it out and try to be like, ooh, what if it gets nominated? I feel like I have to see this, So I think its strongest battle right now would be to get nominated, which I think is possible. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.